Hey, this is Dave Scatchard. You're listening to Missin Curfew.
What's Missin Curfew? It's when you kind of play guilty, but you show up.
How nice is a green light on the road, though? No practice tomorrow, no plane, just go.
Scotty Upshaw in the clear, and he scores! Right in front, scores!
A few laughs, a little bit of fun, and obviously a lot of hockey talk.
You're listening to Missin Curfew.
What's up, lads?
Up dog, Fella Friday, my man. I love the stick. We get the stick. We get the Fella Friday. And our boy Scoopsy. Nice to be here, buddy, with you. We got a great guest today for Fella Friday.
We do have a great guest. And you just brought up Scoopsy, and I want to do this with you. I want to have a Jimmy Hayes pod, just where we go over, it's been a while since we've talked about our boy Jimmy, and maybe we should sit down and just talk about what he meant to us, and all that fun stuff. It kind of soaks into what we got coming here today. Scoopsy, we miss you. We love you still. It's Men's Mental Health Month, up dog, and our boy Dave Scatchard, who battled some, as you will hear here, folks, battled some serious demons, and we've had Sheldon Surrey on, and Dan Carcillo on, and Brian McGrattan's come on, and the Wiz, the fighter pilots come on and talked about battling through this stuff, and a lot of our fans like it. It's good for me. It's good for you to listen to these guys. So this is a great interview here, up dog, about taking that next step and being positive.
Yeah, and trauma or mental health or health in general, it has different tentacles to the question or to the statement, right? And I think no matter what happens, we're not perfect. Yeah. No one's the ultimate human being. We all struggle with something. We can be successful at one thing, and we can be someone that has no idea about something else in our lives. And looking at Scatchy, our boy Dave Scatchard, a guy that had numerous guys I know throughout the league played with Scatchy, loved this guy. He played hard. He stuck up for teammates. 2 career Hatties, so the guy could put the puck in the net 2 O's. But he, he's going to go on to say 5 concussions, and a lot of people might. Trauma might happen from childhood. Well, he really had to face trauma from brain trauma and brain injury. And we've had Carcillo on, and we've had, guys that have struggled with, if it's fighting in the career, if it's some bad injuries and hits. Well, Scatchy found his path in life from trying to heal his brain. Yeah. He found purpose in life from trying to be someone that can eventually just hang with his kids again. And that touches home, and that should touch home to everyone. And then it should be for us here to be able to have a guy like Scatchy on and share his story and share a story about his book. It means a lot for us, but I hope it resonates. Like a month like this, where everyone, you ask questions, whether it's like Bell Let's Talk month or this month of June being Men's Mental Health. It could be anything. It could be from taking supplements and trying to be just trying to get in the gym and feel good and feel young again. Or it could be, from talking to a buddy and being like, man, I love you. I need some help. Or, I'm here for you. Whatever the case may be, it can range, and we all could use just some awareness with it.
Totally. And, we touch on the PTO that I had with Scatchy, and I would have never thought he was battling with anything then. Yeah. He had a sick condo from his time playing there. And I wanted to make the team so bad because, I thought he could help us win. It could help our dressing room as a veteran guy to come in there and bring a little bit more Scatchy was old school pro. Have fun, play hard, let's go, smile. We needed that in Vancouver, and unfortunately didn't make it. But I would have never thought that he was battling anything like that. And that's right at the time of the career he was struggling with it. So, and like you said, we talk about Life Force a lot. It's changed my life. Fellas, take care of yourself out there. You only get one brain, you get one body. If you're struggling with anything, you can reach out to Scatchy, us at Missin Curfew, Dan Carcillo, whatever it is. And if you're looking to change your life, I'm telling you, Life Force helps out. And we talk about a routine in this interview coming up dog. But this is just, it's a good positive interview for Scatchy B.
Yeah, and he talks about Tony Robbins and being Tony and Tony's right-hand guy being a mentor to him, to find a path of self-education, self-awareness, self-help, and. I love what he talks about going and meditating with monks. And, I really think people are going to find this interview at times sad, at times quite uplifting, because it's a little bit of a soul search. And I think we can all do that at times. And you and I, buddy, looking across from each other, doing twice a week. Yeah. Sometimes we needed a little soul searching. Yeah, that's what so anyone else.
That's what the fellow tour is for.
Yeah, so
a little soul searching.
I hope you enjoy this one. Yeah. And we're bringing this one to you because you and I are headed up to Gaza Ranch for a little golf trip, eh?
Yeah, perfect timing here for the boys. We were going to be out of the studio. Now we don't have to worry about bringing our computers or anything to Gaza. We can just enjoy a little member guest fella. So Dave Scatchard coming at you. I hope you guys enjoy this. And like we said, if you need some help, make sure you reach out and ask, fellas. Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Up dog, my man.
Oh, man.
This guy's a legend. I got
guy.
a little taste of being his teammate. We're going to get into that. Just a little taste. And it was a nice taste.
Yeah, you had a little taste of some knuckles.
Yeah, we'll get into that too. And he's a staple at the Wasted Management. A legend, a guy that, like I said, I enjoyed my time. 659 games in the National League. Dave Scatchard, thank you for taking the time, fella. We've been wanting to get you on for a while. Thanks for joining us.
Boys, I am honored, man. I'm honored to be here with you, and I'm very excited. And man, how lucky are we that we get to do this and share these messages with the world and have fun doing it. It's the best.
Yeah, a couple good-looking cats from a couple nice studios. And just when we think we got a nice studio here, I'm looking across the screen. That's a nice little setup you got there. Where are you at? Are you is that your basement there? Or where are you at?
This is my office, and we go. The jerseys just keep.
Holy, there you go.
You got the leather couch in there. That's a proper office. You haven't taken some meetings in there or what?
Well, there's a couple $1 million in here.
Scatchy, I got to ask you about that nice sin bomb behind you. Is that the first NHL goal or hat trick? What is that that's framed there, fella? That's nice.
That looks like a playoff stick to me right there.
That was a hat trick, and I had 2 in a month, believe it or not. Wow. The year I scored 27. So I was actually up for Player of the Month in the NHL one time.
I bet you the road trips were good then too, eh? You're like, fuck, you're cruising in after a game, and no matter where you go, eh?
At least it wasn't like when I first got to the island and we were taking Southwest Airlines, and Zdeno Chara was in a middle seat beside me.
Could you imagine?
Did you get a chance to play with Berard in Long Island?
He left right before I got there, so it was unfortunate.
Nah, that was good for your career, fella. That was good. that was good for your career. But Scatchy, obviously you're doing great stuff. Life after hockey now. You got the book out, but I want to go back a little bit because, like I said, I want to talk to you about the PTO we had together in Vancouver, and you seem like a happy, kind of fun, always had a smile on your face. Like when you retired, did you struggle with your day-to-day stuff, or walk me through when you first left the game, how it was for you on a day-to-day basis, kind of thing?
Come on, you're gonna start there?
Oh,
I'm gonna cry already.
Where do you want me to start?
No, guys. I love the game so much, and I loved everything about it. And after the 4th concussion, I couldn't really play for about a year and a half. And I went and I worked for the union. I worked with Eric Lindros as a divisional field rep, and I took care of the Southwest division. And then I found a doctor that helped me, and I made a comeback. And that was probably when you ran into me, as I was on that PTO with Vancouver. I thought I had a great camp, but I hadn't skated in almost 2 years, and I went into camp like after a month of skating, and my groins were just tight as guitar strings. I had a goal and a fight in my first exhibition game, and I'm like, man, this is going good. And after the 3rd game or 4th game, I said to Bernie, I just need one day off. Just let my groins heal. And he's like, hey, buddy, I don't know, man. I go, just give me one day. And we were playing at home in Vancouver. And he's like, all right, I'll get you one day. And then who was the coach there?
Vigneault.
Yeah, Vigneault goes, he's out. He's done. And I was like, I almost started crying. I'm like, really? No, wait, I got more.
Yeah.
Let me go.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And Vigneault was only worried about his contract. I think he signed an extension, and he could not give a shit about me or what was going on in my career. And actually, Gillis was a GM at the time, and he was awesome. He pulled me aside later, and he goes, you can still play. I'm going to send a fax to all the teams in the league and say that your head's okay. Because I kind of got blackballed a little bit. I know. Where after my 4th one, teams were asking about me, and the Coyotes management was like, no, he's done. He'll never play again. And I let them buy me out because I thought that I'd go get another 2-year deal at the minimum, and I was only at $1 million bonus, but I was losing $1 million by letting them buy me out. But we let them do it because we thought we'd just go get another job, and nobody would even talk to me. Like, not one team in the league after the 4th one.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of reprove myself, and I went up and down in the minors. I think I had 20 goals in 24 games or something in the minors, and I was up and down every 29 days with Nashville. they'd pull me back down because they'd have to pay for my mortgage and my rent and all that BS. So my last 2 years were a little up and down, which was funny because I only played like 20 games in the minors my whole career, or 30 games or something like that. And now I'm like this old guy with investments and properties and stuff, and I'm on the butts of the kids who are playing video games, and like it's just weird. But the last concussion was devastating to me and my family, and I was messed up. I went into hiding for like 3 years. I had no memory. I couldn't speak properly. I couldn't exercise or work out. I would be driving down the road and have no idea where I'm going. I just call my wife and go like, "Hey, what's going on?" She's like, "You're going to the hospital. You're going to the Mayo Clinic." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, great, thanks." And like that would happen like every day.
Oh shit!
My brain just didn't work, and it got so dark at one point where I just didn't know like if I could do it another 30 years. Because after 3 years of this at the Mayo Clinic, they looked at me and said, "Hey, you're permanently disabled. There's nothing we could do." And I'm like, "What do you mean? You guys are the best doctors in the world. Like, if you can't help me, who's going to help me?" And I was, I think, 38 at the time. I had 3 little young kids at home, and I couldn't even push. I tried to push my daughter on the swing set one day, and the motion, I started barfing all over the place because I couldn't even like stand that back and forth rocking motion. Like, what's a young guy supposed to do, you know? And it got dark, man. Nobody knew about it. I didn't really tell anybody about it. I'd drink myself to sleep. I'd go in my movie theater and in the dark where it's quiet, and I'd stay there. And that was like 3 years of that.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty crazy.
Sketch, I just want to go there, like, because I not that I knew you that well, but we did have that PTO together. We hung out a lot there, and I bumped into you another time, and I would have never thought that. And we had Sheldon Surrey on earlier in the season. Same thing I said to Shelly. I'm like, dude, I would have never thought you were battling with addiction at the time. And he's like, I know I didn't talk to anyone. So I guess what I'm asking you, like, looking back, and if people are struggling that are listening to this podcast, would you advise them to talk to people? Don't just, drink yourself to sleep at night. If you could go back and do it again, I guess is what I'm asking.
You know what? Like, doing the work that I do now with coaching and speaking and helping people, like, whenever somebody goes dark, they almost cut off all options. It's almost like the light turns off in their life. They don't see any options. It seems like hopeless or that they're alone. And I would almost say it has to be the opposite. It has to be like you have to reach out more. You have to lean on your buddies. Your buddies, you're not a burden to them, which is what I felt. I didn't want to burden my buddies who are still playing, and I don't want to bother them and have them worrying about me. But they are your brothers, and you've been to war with them, and you got your head beat in helping them out, And when they all found out later, they couldn't believe that I didn't reach out to them, But it's like anything. When your relationship's not going well, when your finances aren't going well, when your health is shitty, when you're in pain or you're depressed, like, you don't go around running and telling everybody.
Yeah.
Like, most people don't. So, like, I know it's counterintuitive, but I would almost say, like, reaching out to your closest people and just having conversations and honest conversations and be like, man, I don't know what's going on, but I might need some help, or do you have any ideas, or how do you think I should deal with this? And, I believe God, at first I thought God was punishing me for some reason. And later, like, the message was revealed to me that I was being punished. I was being trained for the job that I was going to go do in the future and the people that were going to come my way. And I was like, wow, I only had an upshoot. Like, I had a really good trajectory for my career. It was tough, and I had to overcome obstacles, but like, I did that, but I never understood compassion or depression or hopelessness or fear or like anxiety. Like, if somebody would tell me that, I'd be like, hey, like, be positive, like, turn it around.
Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't understand it, but I believe now I can meet them right where they're at and say, I've been there, man. I've totally been there.
Scatchy, you played the game hard, buddy. You played the game the right way. You were a great teammate from all the guys I know that played with you. And you fall, and Obi and I basically fell into this situation too, where, not everyone leaving the game of hockey or leaving like a job, they're never leaving like on their terms, right? They're never leaving like on a super high, skating around, waving to everyone at MSG, like, thanks for playing here.
Ray Bork style, win the cup and retire.
Yeah. And unfortunately, when this happens to guys like us, and your situation with concussions aside, that's horrific, and that's a challenge that we're still learning and evolving, head trauma and injury and trying to that. But when we put that aside, a lot of us struggle with that. There's no more opportunity for us to be part of a boys' club, to wear a jersey, to go out and battle and fight and deal with some coach challenging you and all these things that we were really good at. And when we leave the game, we still struggle to find like that. How do I stay competitive? How do I have an outlet to talk? How do I have an outlet to have a cold one with my buddy and share my stories and laugh? And then so I guess like your message touches home, not just to hockey guys, not just to another athlete, but to a guy maybe that's having a different challenge in his life and leaving a job. He gets fired and his wife leaves him, or he loses a close friend in a tragic accident. So a lot of these guys now your message to these guys and the book you wrote and the challenges you see, how do we evolve as a group of people to learn about this and to face other challenges? And what have you learned that you could share that brings that feeling back to you and strengthens you and empowers you? What are some of those things that now in your journey, what are those things you can share?
All right. If you're ready for it, we're going to go a little deep here.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful question. And you guys might disagree with me, but this is my experience. I went in after the doctors told me they couldn't help me. I started to seek out on my own, and I ended up working with Tony Robbins and doing a lot of stuff with his group, and he taught me on my training for my coaching and all that. One of the exercises that I did was I went back and visited the purest version of my soul. Okay, now it sounds kind of cheesy or whatever, and listeners, stick with me because I believe for men this is kind of important. I looked at myself where I was now, this hardened athlete who was a little jaded and a little beat up and kind of been through the ringer and, not feeling super great about myself. And I look back when I was 10, 8, 6, 5. I think I was like around 5 years old, and I had this vision of myself with the Superman cape on, running around a campground in Alberta with my grandma and my mom and my dad and my dogs. And I was helping everybody, and I was jumping and I was being playful. And the crazy thing is, I couldn't even see that little David in the Gladiator hockey Dave. Yeah. Like, it was hard. Dave was hard. Dave could run through that wall and not feel a thing. I could fight Marty McSorley. I could fight Shane O'Brien. I could fight anybody. And it didn't even do anything to me. Like, I was just numb. Like, I was so numb because each time I got hurt, each time I got my teeth knocked out, each time I had to play with broken bones in my face, you just turn it off because you got to keep going. Somebody's going to take your job. You don't have emotions. You turn into a robot or almost like a soldier. That's why I have such a respect for our military and stuff, because these poor guys go from their little house here and they're fighting and killing people, and then they got to come back and act like everything's normal. Well, sorry, but when you're doing stuff like that, you got to turn into a savage and you got to turn it off. But I believe in turning it off, those beautiful gifts that we have as children where we can feel things and we can know things and you're just joyous and it's everything's fun and playful. Well, when you turn it all off, it's hard to find that joy and fun in anything else, right? And that's why people turn to drugs or alcohol or sex or gambling or whatever, right? We all have our stuff. So what if you could go back to the purest version of your soul, take off all that armor, all those masks, all that stuff that we packed on, moving away from home when you're 16, first time you had your heart broken, first time you got your shit beat out of you, first time your teammates were bullying you, whatever, right? We all have our things. But each time it hurts so much because we're so sensitive. We're oh, I don't want to feel that again. So I'm going to just turn that off. Well, part of feeling is being vulnerable and open and raw. When I wrote the book, I'm I don't know if I talk about the near-death experience. I don't know if I talk about this masks and armor piece. I don't know if I talk about vulnerability. Nobody wants to talk about vulnerability. Probably 60 to 70% of my clients are women because they can go there in the vulnerability piece. But a lot of men, the men that do go there, have massive success instantaneously. It's almost like jet fuel. But the ones that don't, they're I'm not sure if I want to feel. I don't want to talk about my feelings.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a different piece and it's a different way of looking at things. But I believe that there's an innocent, joyous playful version of ourselves that sometimes gets buried under the pressure and the responsibility and the social stigma or NHL stigma that you don't talk about that stuff. You don't feel pain. You don't say if you're hurt. You don't, right? Like, it's crazy. So, like, I'm kind of turning everything upside down, and people are like, well, stop being a pussy, but that's not it. It's not it. It's not being a pussy. It's being brave as fuck to go ahead and like say like, hey, man, like this is terrifying right now, or I'm scared, or I'm nervous.
Scatchy was staying there one sec. If being the warrior is winning the war, if being the hockey player is winning the Stanley Cup with your teammates, what is it for you? What is the goal right now? Is it helping one person? Is it sharing the message? Is it spreading this to everyone? Or is it still like soul searching for yourself to become like the ultimate, your purest self? What is your goal right now?
That's a great question. Mine is to be an extraordinary example of light and love and to help as many people as possible, to use my platform to share the experiences that I've gone through to help other people who might be going through something similar. And also, the warrior is not all bad. The discipline, the focus, the dedication, all those pieces of that armor we keep and we stack into this new operating system that's like this, like free. It's like light. You know what I mean? It's much lighter not to have all this burden and all this stuff about like packed on from, be like if somebody, had 5 failed relationships, then they take all that stuff into the future relationship that has no connection to it. That's a disservice to the new partner, right? So why do we do that? So why would we take all our stuff from our hockey career and bring it into our business or our life? Or it doesn't have to be hockey. It can just be your normal life. But it crushes my soul to see people struggle and be in pain and anxiety and depression and have nobody to talk to. And there's answers out there. You just kind of got to dig. And sometimes it's opposite of what you think.
Yeah. Scatchy, we had like Dan Carcillo come on here and Fighter Ken the Wiz, and I do it myself now with mushrooms now and then. I take some drops every morning. Was there anything that you used from that aspect when you were going through it that you got away from alcohol and started maybe dabbling in that, or was it just fully communicating and getting down to your soul, like you said?
It was a whole, I redid my whole system. So I went vegan for 65 days. That seemed to kind of start to turn the lights back on. I stopped drinking. I went in the jungle with the Tony Robbins group and I did ayahuasca it was only one night, but it was like this 9-hour crazy experience. I didn't really love my experience. It was kind of a dark thing. I'm able to get there with my meditation work, and I did meditation work in India with the monks at Oneness, and I get more out of that work than anything plant-based or whatever. I've tried mushrooms recently, not in a spiritual setting. It was more like at the waste management.
I think I was there with you.
That's a good setting. That's a good setting, Scatchy.
Yeah.
Don't tell my kids. But I'm not opposed to it. Like I think partly sometimes when somebody's so locked. Like I've been working on this for over a decade, right? So if you counted the hours I've meditated or done the work, it's thousands of hours. So I'm able to bypass. Well, this is one of my teachers calls it a spiritual bypass, when we use the medicine to get there, as opposed to just working through it naturally. But I also believe somewhat in the natural medicine that's available. So it's, as long as it's in a ceremonial experience and it's sacred, it's not like party, then I believe it can help unlock somebody that might be locked. Like that's what, when I was coming out, before I did all my work, I felt like I was bracing for another hit. You know what I mean? Like everywhere I turned, my fight or flight response was like at a freaking 20 out of 10. And it was like my RPMs were just revving at like full throttle all the time. And it was like everything in the world like scared me. I mean, there's a player in the NHL I ran into in the airport in LAX, and I went up to give him a hug. And you guys know this guy, awesome guy. I went up to give him a hug, and he braced himself. Like, he's like, hey, be careful. Well, frick, his concussions happened 15, 20 years ago. And he's still like that fragile. This guy used to fight everybody. He was an amazing player too. I think he won a Stanley Cup. But my heart was just breaking for this poor guy. And I'm like, man, like, I go, hey, I can help you. Like, please call me. His wife gets up after a call. Hey, get so-and-so to call you. I'm like, I'm trying. Like, he's scared.
Yeah.
And, I pray for this guy all the time, but it's listen, like, I don't want to be, I would never take it. I would never do anything different.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
this is my path. And if the injuries didn't happen, like, this is the crazy thing, guys, is when these weird things happen, if we can shift perspective, and you don't know why it's happening to you at the time, but when you could look later and shift the perspective and go, thank God for that 5th concussion, because I wouldn't have helped 25,000 people that have come through my programs or done my stuff. They wouldn't, never even know about them. I would be on the golf course, which is fine, but it's like I wouldn't have anything to get excited about or have like purpose about behind me. And I know, like, I don't know why, but this is the one thing that like turns me on that I do for free, just like playing the NHL. Like, when you really see somebody shift, it's the greatest thing in the world. And most people will do more to help somebody else than they will to help their own selves.
Yeah, Scatchy, that's actually one of the coolest things about this podcast since being Uppy started, getting to talk to guys like you and Carbomb and Shelley and Brian McGrattan and guys that, like, battled through stuff and came through the other side. And Scatchy, me personally, like, when I retired, every Friday, Saturday night, I was getting as fucking banged up as I possibly could. I put a bunch of weight on. I was tinkering, fella. I was tinkering with, like, you might have a problem. Then COVID hit and I kind of slowed down, and then I got into a routine now where I swim and I play pickleball and I don't drink as much. I just started feeling good, and to feel that good made me realize, like, it's almost better than partying now. You know what I mean? Like, to wake up every morning feeling good and getting your routine in. But, like, when you finally turn the corner, what did your day-to-day routine look like? Like, what was it, up early and doing your meditation and working out? Like, are you a regimented guy, or is it just how you feel that day is how you react to what your day is going to entail?
It's funny, like, I don't know if, like, something's still open with my head from my injury and my connection, but, like, I'm so guided and I just kind of listen to the guidance. But as far as I asked God or source, whatever you guys believe, but I said, how do I stay connected to this? Because this is like it's unbelievable. It's just incredible. And the message was that I had to keep creating time to keep that connection, right? Like, keep the pathways open. So I started meditating at like 4 a.m. And, like, I was usually like a 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning guy. And I started wake up at 4. And even during my healing process, I would meditate, and I'd have this movie theater in my house, and it would just be dark, and it would just be me, maybe some music, and sometimes nothing, and like peace and love and healing. And I would be like open, and I'd literally feel like the light just gently coating my whole body and working through every part of my body, and start to go down through every single cell in my body. And I knew I was going to heal, and I just like keep open to that. And then when I started doing that, I'd hit every green light. I get the front row parking. I was in flow, right? Yeah. It's like when you get the hat trick, right? You don't even remember scoring the goals because you're just in the zone. But when I miss a day or I banged up and I hung over, I hit every red light. My kids are going crazy and nothing's working. I pushed my own self out. There's no one even else to blame. So, like, I literally do less and less of that stuff. Like, I enjoy having a good time with the boys for sure, but it's like, I also am kind of on a mission right now, and I'm like, I can't do both. I can't be the life coach and the business coach and be the best partier at the thing.
Yeah.
They don't go together.
No, it's Scatchy. It's funny you say that, because don't get me wrong. When I can still turn it on, I can fucking turn it on. And I get to that point of where I get past 4 or 5 drinks, and then I turn into, the 25 to 35-year-old Oldie, and I'm like, let's go, boys. Let's keep her going. And I stay up till fucking 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I wake up the next day, Scatchy, and I look at myself and I'm like, you did it again. Like, why did you do that? Like, I have, sometimes I got to just say, no, I can't go out for dinner, because I know if I get to a certain point, that old guy's going to come back, which is nothing wrong with it. It's the right time. But I'm just so, if I stay in my lane and do my thing, I can stay positive and happy, I guess is what I'm saying. And once I turn that corner, I'm going to be hungover hitting red lights the next day, like you said.
You know what? Like, I don't ever tell people not to enjoy themselves. I have a very famous, he's not really a client, but I've helped him out with some stuff, country person. And, like, he's finally there. He's the guy. And why would you not let him enjoy
Yeah, exactly.
So, but
He's a
it's
rock
like,
star. Yeah.
How do you do it in a proper way, right?
Yeah.
And how do you not make mistakes?
The weed pen's key. If I just have that weed pen, a couple puffs of that, and just take it easy on the old fashions, I can stay in the game.
Spiritual bypass here, Scatch.
Well, once I start slugging the old fashions, look out, fella.
Well, listen, I don't believe that we're not supposed to enjoy community and friendship and have fun and like all that. I'm not the guy that's going to judge. Like, that's the thing is one of the greatest things I've ever learned is you can never judge anybody. Like, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I try to love on people and meet them where they're at. And it's served me really well. I love human beings. It's weird. Like, when you're chasing your goal, it's kind of like all about you, right? Trying to get to the NHL, it's all about your goal and doing the thing. But then, like, when you're done and you don't have that, like, what are you? What's my identity?
Yeah.
Who am I? What do I do? Who do I care about? What's my purpose? Why am I here?
You know, you live in the desert now. It's fucking hot as balls, I'm sure. But you're from a little tiny beautiful town up in northern Alberta, where I'm from. Hinton, I just told him, Hinton's on the way out to one of the prettiest places in Western Canada, Jasper. But do you feel at home, like, when you're an Alberta guy? Like, are you a true North, like, Alberta kid? Or are you now, like, feeling like you just need that sunshine on your body all the time? Like,
Vitamin D.
I love not having to shovel my driveway.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you and
I love Arizona for about 8 or 9 months a year. We travel a lot. We do Cabo and LA and actually Newport a little bit. And we go to Vancouver in the summers, and my mom lives in Salmon Arm. So I'm a little bit from British Columbia as well, Salmon Arm, British Columbia.
Beautiful place.
Which is beautiful. But Hinton's kind of like the armpit of Alberta. I'm not being mean, Hinton, but it smells like a pulp mill. It's not a lot to do there. But the way I grew up, very humble. My dad worked in the coal mines. I always had jobs since I was a little boy, paper route, cutting people's grasses, babysitting. Like, I always had jobs. I always had an entrepreneurial heart. And then I moved away when I was 16 to go play in Kimberley, which is the Rocky Mountain League. I played there for a year after Portland cut me. And then I was last cut to Portland. And I have kind of a cool story in the book about this bag skate from hell in Portland, where I was kind of the last guy to make it. And then the next year, maybe 2 years later, I was the captain of that same team. My draft year, got drafted 42nd overall in the world after I had mono and missed a bunch of the year, and nobody even knew who I was to start the year. Played with Adam Deadmarsh and Lonnie Bahanas in the playoffs, and that helped. It's been a crazy journey, buddy. Like, if I told you how many people told me I had no shot, too skinny and too little, and nobody would know me from my little town of 6,000 people or 5,000 people. You guys get it, like, it's a miracle that we're hanging out with the people we hang out with. We're running in the circles we hang out with. And it's like, we have got to do the world's most incredible, beautiful things. It's like, what a blessing. Yeah. And I don't want to waste it. This is kind of my second go around. And this time it's not about me. It sounds cheesy, but it's about helping other people, because I think I got a free roll right now.
Yeah, no, and you know what? We were up in Vancouver, and we had so many good Missin Curfew fans, and guys come up to me like, "Oh, but you make my drive better to work. You make me, when I'm like, fuck, man, my stupidity talking to the updog makes your day better. That makes me feel good." But Scatchy, just on a day-to-day basis of staying positive and being happy, is it something you have to work at? Because for me, sometimes, right, there's days that I'm like, all right, Obes, come on, snap out of it here. Like, I if it's one thing about business or maybe my girl or whatever, but are you always working to stay positive, or is it something that, how do you stay positive? I guess my question.
Yeah. It's like, I can't live in the past. There's no, I had amazing memories, tons of lessons and all that. I can take that, but there's no juice for me in the past. Like, guys, we all have guys who talk about their careers like they've been done for 40 years and they still talk like they're still play, which is beautiful. I love it that they love it that much. But also, like, there's a future for you guys to go create, to be something special, to like you said, make people's drives better. Like, what a blessing you are. Every time you guys open your mouth, you have a chance to bless people with something nice, something smart, something funny, a great story. Like, you're blessing givers. And that's the thing, is like, when you look at life like that, like, holy crap. Like I was literally thinking about it today. I'm like, and it's kind of a new thing I'm doing, but I'm measuring like how big an impact I can have every single day. So, I don't have many followers on Instagram, maybe like 18,000 or something like that. But it's like, okay, well, I'm going to post something positive today. So 18,000 people just got a hit. And then, my Facebook group, and now I'm doing your podcast, and, tens of thousands of listeners are going to, hopefully more, are going to be hearing this message. And then, I'm going to go to my kids' hockey, and I'm going to coach 40 young kids on 2 different teams and like light them up. Like if I get to do that and I'm shining light everywhere, I'm good. Like what could I be depressed about?
Yeah.
Like I'm literally like rocking life. I'm having fun. And it's not about, listen, for all the listeners out there, it's not about how much money you got. It's not about how cool you are. It's about like being able to take a walk and enjoy the sunshine and the smell of fresh cut grass and say, man, like, thank God I'm healthy. Thank goodness my legs are working. Thank goodness for all my friends and all my buddies. Like I'm lucky.
Yeah.
And gratitude is the antidote to any of that depression or anxiety. Gratitude is the antidote to all of that. So I would do a circle, and I would go around the circle, thank my mom and dad. My dad's in heaven now, but if you have a dad, I would call my dad, tell him I love him. Like I wish I could talk to my dad right now, your brothers and sisters, your aunts and uncles, every person that's ever touched your life, I would almost make a list and once a day call one of them and say, hey, thank you so much for always believing in me, or thank you so much for loving on me even when I couldn't love on myself when I was going through that rough patch. Like that's a different thing, and it's beautiful. And I'm a very emotional person now. Like I cry a lot, but I'm crying because I'm so grateful that I'm getting to share what I know and to do it from a place of love. Well,
yeah, no, that's awesome, Scatchy. And just the last thing for me, if we do have some guys out here listening that are struggling, and it sounds like you almost got to rock bottom and shelling. Like, what's the first step if you're struggling, Scatchy? Is there a first step? Is there if you're looking back, being like, I wish I would have done this a little bit sooner, because I have had guys reach out to us after we had Shelly on and this and that, and it's helping people, your message. So what would be your message to a guy that what's the good first step?
And how do they reach you? Is it Instagram? Is that the best way they want to?
Yeah, Instagram, allstarcoaching.com is my website. And right now there's just a landing page on there, but at least your email will get in my system and I'll send you free stuff. Like that's kind of how things work with me. And we have all different kinds of programs. We have like stuff that's totally free, and we have stuff all the way up to 6 figures, for high level people. But, we've got the book, The Comeback, My Journey Through Heaven and Hell, which I'm really proud of. And this is a bestseller the first week it went out there. So once again, that's The Comeback, My Journey Through Heaven and Hell. And I told the guys before the show, if, I wanted to give away, say, 25 copies or something, the first 25 people that click the link that I'm going to share with the guys later, we'll mail you off I think it's a free, you got to pay for the shipping or something, but the book's free. It's the first thing that I would do would be I would change my state. Which means the energetic vibration goes so low that you almost can't see any possibility up here because you're vibrating so low. So I could tell you that the world's great and green and sunshine, and all you can see is darkness, right? And you're like, dude, I don't see that at all. I would start beginning work on my health first, get exercising, breathing, sweating, like get tired, push that extra weird stuck energy that's stuck, get it out of your body, run till you get exhausted. I would, honestly, that's what I do. Second thing I'd do is I'd help somebody else, because what happens when you go to help somebody else is you get out of your own shit pile and you go and you be a blessing to somebody. And that is pure love and energy that's going to come right back to you because it gets you out of your own funk. Right. So energy state, health would be my number one, moving your body, sweating, breathing hard. And then also helping somebody. Go volunteer at a homeless shelter. Go do, help old people, do something, be a big brother, big sister, but those things will get you out of your own funk. And then I'd also do gratitude. I would go, like I told you earlier, I would just reach out to all the people that have loved on me and cared about me and said, hey, I've just been in a funk. I apologize for you guys for being patient. I want to tell you that I have noticed you trying to reach out to me. I have noticed you trying to help me, and I just needed some time to collect myself, but I'm ready to come, and I might take you up on some of those things that you offered me earlier. So Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for loving on me. And, I'm just grateful for you.
You know what, Scatch? You said working out, and it's true. One of my buddies, the franchise Shane Taylor back home, you know, I'm like, just start walking. Just go for a walk. He started walking, and now he's up to walking whenever he walks, 10 miles or 5 mile. Like, you know, he's been healthy that way. And for me, talking about somebody else helping you out, when I retired, my back and hips, because near the end of my career, I was over in Europe. I was out of shape. The trainers aren't great. And Steve Gabriel, who's a legend at Big Canyon, he's like, fuck, you know, what's going on here? I go, my back and hips are in one. He's like, you ever try swimming? I said, Gabe's like, I can't swim. He said, trust me, just get in there and give it a go. And if he would have never reached out to help me, I would have never started swimming, and that's changed my life, Scatchy, tremendously. So for him to just say, hey, get in the pool and try it out, working out mentally, right, Scatchy? It's so good for you mentally too, right?
Yeah, and it gives you some sort of routine. Yeah. Oh, this is another thing. So Donnie Epstein's a huge mentor of mine, and Donnie is Tony Robbins' healer. And we've been working together for 7 years. And I said to Donnie, I said, if you could work with my hockey guys or you could work with some of my clients, what would you say would be the best thing to do when they're stuck? Because most of the time it's about identity loss when they leave the game. But he goes, they lose the routine. They lose their schedule. It's always been done for them. So he goes, I would build them a schedule every single time and let that start to change their state, which would in turn give them higher vibration, which in turn would give them more ideas and more energy to do great things. So, you know, I think that was great advice. And you guys know, right? When you got something to get up for, it's exciting and you got a great show to do, or you got places to go or people to see.
I would actually love that. That's such a good thing. Like, even if someone reached out to you, you're like, what's your schedule like? And a lot of us, 9 out of 10 of us would say, well, fuck, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow really yet. And if you're like, you know what? Tell me what you're interested in, and let me just send you a schedule for the next 2 weeks of things that you're interested in, and see if you can like plan your days around these. And I would just be like, yeah, send it over, and then I'd be like, fuck, okay, this is perfect.
Wow, that's a good idea.
That to me, I'm like, I wish someone gave me like a little, like, he's always like, up dog, we got a meeting, where are you? I'm like, fuck, I knew it was.
And he's got kids though, eh? So I cut him slack.
Yeah, but still, you have to make time for yourself. Your family, work, yourself is so crucial. But then within yourself is the workout, is the meditation or the sauna, is the time for a beer with your buddies and guy time. It's all separate. But man, it'd be nice if you just got that PDF with the old, you know, Panthers road trip coming up here. We're staying at this hotel. We're going here. You're like, okay, this is nice. It's nice to get that again. How are you? Private bird. Fuck. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But you know, that's maybe a nice little tool that, you know, you could send someone like, hey, let me send you a weekly little schedule, see if it helps you. Yeah,
okay. You know what I could do? I could send one of what I do.
Yeah.
And then people could kind of look at that. So for your listeners out there, maybe I'll create a link, and if they want to see kind of my typical day, they might not like what they see.
Well, even if
why has this guy got no golf on his calendar?
Yeah, but
even if they take one thing from it,
It's a great piece of content for you that you could put out, like is you know, the Scatchy routine, and then maybe some people be like, man, I should add that in there. That's
because a routine's key, and that's what it was for me, dude. When I first stopped playing, I didn't want to work out anymore because I was fucking the scale my whole career, and I had to fucking work out. I'm like, fuck that. So I got out of that routine. I play golf. I'd get drunk on the weekend, and I was just like, and now that I got back into one, routine to me, Scatchy, I guess where I'm going, is key for people out there. Fellas, if you don't have a routine, fucking get in one, because it changes your life, man.
Amazing. Yeah. I don't want to change topics, but I don't want to forget. I'm starting a podcast, boys.
Baby.
It's coming out next week, and I had these like 50 interviews, probably like 45 interviews I did with like everybody, like Tavares, Luongo, Niedermeyer, Roenick. And I was going to try to get this thing on Netflix, and Netflix said it was too positive. This is when Tiger King and stuff was coming out. Like, this is too like positive, and it's not rough enough. And like, what do they call the word they used? It's not, what's the word? It's like not antagonizing, but it's some
intriguing.
Like
yeah,
intriguing. No,
well,
no, like controversial.
Yeah, they just had the Tom Brady roast, so I'm sure they're looking for some sort of. Yeah, they're like, well, we're trying to spice it up a little bit there.
so I had all these things. I was trying to figure out what to do with them. Their interviews. I spent like $150 grand flying around the country, going to New York and Florida, and interviewing everybody, Gary Roberts, all these guys. And I had it just sitting in the can, and I'm like, man, it's already filmed. Like, let's turn this thing into a pod. Right. So I hired a podcast company out of Canada, and they're producing it. And It's going to be called All-Star Success Codes. And it'll be talking a lot about success, like kind of like what we're talking about right now, like, habits, routines, what the pros do, how they made it, the behind the scenes stories. And, I hope you guys can come on and I can get you guys back on my pod because I think the listeners would love it. And I'd like to know more about how you guys were raised and what the hardest things that you guys went through in your career. So nobody ever knows those stories. That's why I think these podcasts are so cool and fun. Do you have any advice? Do you have any advice for me for doing a pod?
I guess would just be like,
hey, this guy runs a nice ship.
No,
I got to tell you, at the beginning, at the beginning, it was a lot of touch and go, right? Us uncertainty, us, learning how to, be partners in something new, and again, finding our identities within this whole world, and then finding a role with each other to do a show twice a week. Our fans who expect it, to our DraftKings, our friends at DraftKings who expect a great show, and Obes. We got two great producers, Morgan and Kyle, behind us who are here working hard. He manages those people. He manages me. He's writing the script. We got Princey doing all our socials, and it's a team effort. Yeah. So surround yourself with good people that want to work as hard as you do, because ultimately they will make you look as good as without them, you don't look fucking half as good. I know you look fucking pretty handsome over there,
good.
But you want to sound good and look good, and it's all about them. And then it's about how much work do you want to put in, and you're a hardworking guy. You've always been. It's how much hard work you want to put in, because the output will be good.
And then from just a content perspective, Scotchy, it would just be reps, right? Just to do as much, have everyone on. Bring on anyone if he's Roberto Luongo to Bernie, the old medical guy. Bring everybody on, and then I would say once you start it, consistency. Let your listeners know that whatever day you're going to record it, or that's going to be there, because there's so many podcasts out there that the one thing I'm proud about Missin Curfew is that we've put out content, besides when we lost our boy Jimmy Hayes for a couple weeks, we put content out every week. So consistency and reps would be my advice to you. But Scatchy, I can't let you go before we got to talk about a couple more things I got for you. My first NHL fight, I'm in Anaheim. We're 2 weeks into the season, maybe longer. I don't got to fight. Brian Burke's kind of looking at me like, what are you waiting for, kid? So I look up Dave Scatchard. I'm like, oh, fucking Scatchy guy's gonna be a fucking handful. But I'm like, oh, maybe. So I got my opportunity, and Scatchy came in the front of the net. I was pushing Keith Ballard, maybe, or somebody. And I pushed him, and Scatchy came flying in. I'll be the first to admit, I jumped him. I fucking glummed wrong. I was throwing before Scatchy even got in there. And Scatchy, I'll never forget when you got your paws on me. I fought some strong guys, buddy, but you were one of the strongest. And right away, I was like, oh, shit, fucking Scatchy, this guy's strong. But I guess thanks for the first one, fella. And when it came to fighting for you, how did you look at it back in the day? Was it something you knew you had to do? Or what was fighting for you, I guess? Because I like to ask all the guys that fought this question.
It's a great question. I hated fighting as a child. I got really bullied bad from this Indian guy named John Beaverbone. That's his real name.
That's funny. That's a Northern Alberta thing, because I used to too. You talk about
That's because you're banging. That's because you're stealing other girlfriends, eh? That's why they beat you up.
and he failed like 3 times. So I'm like 11 years old fighting a 14-year-old, and he bullied the school forever. And that was like my first fight in life. And then I kind of did better than I thought. I didn't even know how to fight. I was just crying and throwing like pillows and stuff. And then I fought him again and again and again and again, and then I had to fight his 8 brothers. I ran to a block tearing house. That's in the book. They shattered this lady's window. But anyways, just funny story. My first fight in the Rocky Mountain League, I got my nose exploded by a guy named Jake Skrinka. I don't know if you know that name. He was a Western League.
Sounds like a Western Leaguer. Western Leaguer.
And I got my head beat in as bad as it could get. And I remember driving home listening to Pearl Jam, I'm Still Alive, that song.
Oh, I love that too.
My face was just pulsing, but it didn't really hurt. Like, it was just pulsing. And it was kind of my first bad nose break. And I blood all over my jersey, and I had to leave the game. But my teammates were so pumped because I jumped in to help out a teammate. And I said, if I can get my ass beat that bad, and it doesn't even really hurt that much, and I fought the toughest guy, I'll fight anybody.
Yeah.
And that was when it was a tipping point for me. And I literally took on that role. And I wasn't a heavyweight, but I played on a line with Donald Brashear and Troy Crowder at one point in Vancouver. That's
a lot of meat.
Line.
That's a lot of meat. Yeah.
but if something was going down and the tough guys were looking for somebody to fight, they didn't want to fight those two. So I was like the third pick, and they'd jump me or whatever just so they could get their fight in. And that's kind of, I learned by like defending myself, really.
No, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I played pretty physical. I hit a lot, so people would be coming for me quite a bit, and I was always better fighting, than if I was trying to go after a guy, because I just seemed to fight more instinctively. But I hated, like, if I knew I was going to fight, I had to fight Shane Corson after I said this big thing in the Toronto newspaper that we're going to give him payback. So Ty Domi, Gary Roberts, Shane Corson, they're all ready for me the next game, and I'm like, oh. And Jason Weimer comes over. He's like, Scatch. He's like, I'll get it. And it was opening face-off, and it was all over media, Canada, and even New York. And we got up the game, and like, I know everybody's looking at me, and I line up at center, and I'm like, is Domi coming, or is Thornton, like, who's coming? And their starting lineup was Domi, Roberts, and Corson. And Corson's at center, and Rob squared off, and it went pretty good. So I don't know, like, I wasn't the best fighter, but I was really strong.
Yeah,
and I could always see belt if I had to, which I probably did more than I care to admit when I was fighting, the McSorleys and those guys. Like, I didn't even know what am I doing here?
Yeah,
like,
that's okay.
I've seen this guy beat people's heads off my whole life.
No, like your era, like it's almost like every era before was tougher than our era. Like your era was tougher than our, although we played a little bit. You know what I mean? Like when you played, it was like, you want to fuck around with these guys?
Oh no,
like no, thank you.
Yeah.
But the only time I really loved fighting was when you were actually mad. When you're on the ice and somebody did something to you and you're like, let's fucking go. Like, to me, that's what I loved. But everything else about it, besides sticking up for my teammates, but I can vouch for you, brother. Fuck, were you strong. When you grabbed a hold of me, I was like, what just happened? Like, I thought I had the upper hand on him, man.
Because you got the first 3 punches.
Yeah, no, I hit him with 2, I think. I might have got his bucket, but Princey's going to put this up for sure. And then I tried the banana peel, and Scatchy just put me down. I was like, oh, my God, what the hell happened? Back to the gym, O'Brien.
See, I was too dumb to do the banana peel. I just hang in there and take a few, and I'm like, what am I doing in this fight? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scatchy, man, listen, buddy, you mean a lot to me in the up dog. We're so happy you're doing great, buddy. Every time we see you at the Wasted Management, you always put a smile on my face. Let's do this again. Good luck with the pod and the book, buddy. We love you, and keep smiling, fella, because it's a good smile. You're a good dude, my man.
You know what? I love both you guys, and you're always bringing energy, and you're always bringing laughs and fun, and that's what life's about. So good job for you. Keep going. I'm proud of you guys, and the show's getting better every single episode, and I'm grateful to call you guys my buddy.
We appreciate you.
Thanks, Scatchy.
Thank you.